too.
Hello and welcome to another Cinema Jam. This is our recap for the month of August, where we're going to be discussing the movies that we saw that month in related to the Carnival of Fear. So, as always, I'm Sebastián Gomez from Austin, Texas, and from Montreal, Canada is...
Hello, Ellis. Hi, Sebas. Hi, everyone.
So, Pablo, on August we discussed several movies related with the circus, carnivals, but in particular killer clowns. We were, we had some good times discussing some of them, different opinions on others. But in general, what do you think was the experience of discussing these movies related with the killer clowns and the carnivals and the fear aspect and deadly aspect of clowns?
I had a lot of fun, Sebas. Killer clowns or scary clowns are one of my favorite topics when it comes to horror movies, so I had a blast this month. Just for our listeners, just to do the recap and talk about the movies overall. We saw Killer Clowns from Outer Space. We saw also Terrifier and It Chapter 1, the first one that came out a few years ago. Now, we're not talking about the original one from the 90s, the TV movie with Tim Curry, but the more recent one. Clown House from Victor Salva. And then we also saw Santa Sangre de Alejandro Jodorowsky. And as I think everyone can see, I mean, for those who are watching the video as well, we have in our background a kind of like a backdrop with the list of the movies, and so it's one of the conclusions from the ranking of the movies. One of the conclusions from the cycle is that Santa Sangre was a movie, a genre on its own, something that did not really fit the definition that we had of Carnival of Fear.
Yeah, it was a little bit out of the... It was a good discovery. I didn't expect to like that movie as much. Oski is an acquired taste, to be honest. But it was an interesting movie. In such a way that it was difficult to put it next to the other definitely clown movies. Because there are clowns in there are ghost clowns in there, but the killer is not a clown, it's more like a magician or something like that.
Yeah.
And that is barely a story about the killer in that movie. But it was an interesting, very psychedelic view of circus in Latin America, in particular in Mexico, with all those different, the poor neighborhoods in there. It was an interesting movie.
It was.
Yeah, and definitely the conclusion was that Killer Clowns from Outer Space was our favorite one. Both of us agreed that it was the best clowns in general were from Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and the best music as well.
Yeah, no, is the one that fits best the definition of killer clowns, of course. It's Killer Clowns from Outer Space. It's a bit so I mean, each movie had its own theme as well, and its own it brought exactly merits. It brought its own flavor to this month. Term. Yeah, because Killer Clowns from Outer Space as well as It, they are both about a menacing type of figure that is represented as a clown, but comes from outer space, which is more clear in It Chapter 2, when we know the background of Pennywise. But obviously, Killer Clowns from Outer Space, the movie itself, it's all about aliens that appear as clowns. Terrifier and Clown House are a bit more grounded in what, in humans, in people, especially Clown House. It's the only one of all the movies that we saw where the killer clown aspect was not supernatural. It was basically three psychos that escaped a sanitarium.
Psychopaths, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. A mental institution, and then went on a killing spree. So that's a bit of the difference. Or those are the unique flavors that each movie brought to this month, the month of August, and they all have their merits.
And it's interesting because you both propose Terrifier and Clown House, and both are
Yes.
basically on the opposite range of what horror means, right? Because Terrifier is the most goriest, blood in your face, disgusting thing that you can ever think about. And Clown House, with also a human psycho killer or serial killer or whatever it is, it's supposed to be, they are the less bloody movie of the ones that we saw. Literally,
Yeah,
I
it's funny
think,
because of all the five movies that we saw in August, the one that had the least amount of blood and killings on screen was Clown House.
yeah,
Was the cleanest movie of all the five. That
that's an ironic, yeah, especially because you propose both of them. So like, okay,
Well, I mean, Clown House, and we discussed it when we talked about the movie in that episode of of the podcast, is a movie that has its own history, its
dark history.
own dark history, all the controversy surrounding its director, Victor Salva. So from that perspective, it is a movie that has attained this cult status, but not necessarily because of its own merits, but because of what happened during the production of the movie, and obviously what happened after, with the scandal, and then how Victor Salva, in a way, kind of redeemed himself because he continued doing movies, and very good ones. I mean, Jeepers Creepers is a great movie, by the way. I saw it again recently, Sebas, and it's as good as it's always been. It's such an amazing movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting discussing because I mean, it's difficult not to bring all that dark history and dark, what now that we know what happened there and all the, abuse from Victor Salva to the kids in the movie. It was like, okay, it was difficult to watch. And it was interesting also seeing Sam Rockwell as a young potential star, right? So it was one of the discoveries in that case. So I also brought, well, from the movies that I brought, I Eat and Killer Clowns from Outer Space were the ones I proposed. Santa Sangre was kind of a together proposal. But I like it. I know you didn't like it. You didn't like the 80s aspect of the,
No, I love the 80s, and Killer Clowns is the most 80s movie in this list. What I don't
No,
like
I
about
mean,
it is the fake 80s nostalgia thing that it has, and that Goonies subtext with the kids. That to me was too much. So it distracted the movie from what it should have been focusing on, which is Pennywise, the killer clown. We got distracted, sidetracked with all these different, I don't know, teenager dramas that the movie has.
teenager traumas. No
No,
dramas,
but
traumas.
I love the 80s. That's my favorite decade for movies.
No, yeah, I actually felt it was a good movie. I enjoyed it more than Pablo. I think Andy Muschietti did a great job, especially adapting this huge book from Stephen King. And we did discuss a little bit that, chapter 2 does add a little bit of the things that are missing in chapter 1, but chapter 1 is much a better movie than chapter 2 because chapter 2 is actually longer and it gets a little, I don't know, boring at the end. But I like it. I mean, in the end, we couldn't figure out which one was going to be the second one, so we had to go tie it with Terrifier and It, as you can see in the background. But it was an interesting discussion both times because in the end, for me, Terrifier is a difficult movie to watch. It was too bloody, too mean. I don't think there is another word. It's just a mean movie. I mean, Art the Clown is just...
It's a movie the way movies were made in the past. It's a movie that has no compromises. It shows the gore as it's supposed to be. There's
Well, yeah,
no
it's like
toning
you mean like an
down.
'80s low budget movie? That's what you mean?
That's what I mean. Exactly. It's the kind of movies that brought me back to, like the early 80s, like slasher movies that were also like just like up in your face. That's the way that Damien Leone did Terrifier. And I insist, it's a really good franchise. I saw Terrifier 2. It's a way better movie in the sense that it has more of a
A
context, more of
story.
a story, a background. Thank you. Plus, it introduces a character that we actually care about. So it's not only everything about Art the Clown, who's the evil character we shouldn't be relating to, but there's no one else in Terrifier, the first one that to root for. So in Terrifier 2, he fixes that, and it's an amazing movie. But I think it's a way better franchise overall than it as a franchise. That's my take.
You know, we were talking about last year in December. We saw the holiday movies, right? And we talk about Black Christmas, and I mentioned that
Yeah.
I watched
Yep.
Black Christmas, one of the remakes, and because it has two remakes, and that movie is basically like a remake. It's like in this type of art, it's just a guy that is mean and just wants to kill. Black Christmas, ironically, is as well, right? There was no reason why that guy was killing those sorority girls, but so in that sense, I guess you're right. That some of those movies is closer to that movies. And I always wanted to watch Maniac. We were talking about one of the scenes in that movie in Terrifier is that when he takes the hair from one of the victims and other parts of the body. And I was confirming that we talk about in the episode that Maniac is one of those inspirations, and that's an '80s movie that is basically unapologetic. I know. I did another mini jam about weapons, and the ending of Maniac is basically the ending of Weapons. So if you want to watch it, Pablo, Weapons is one that I don't
It's in
think you're
my
gonna
list.
like it, but it's worth watching
No,
as well.
it's in my list. It's one of the movies that I want to see, as well as Terrifier 3. There's a third
Terrifier
one.
3, yeah.
Yeah, there's a third one that I need to watch.
There might be a one day that I feel so depressed that I and watching Terrifier 2 or 3. Let's see. I don't. It's gonna take a while for me to be able to gather the strength to watch it. But I think in the end it was a good topic for the month. I think
It was a great
I
month of
actually like
August.
even Terrifier. I wanted to watch it. I mean, I watched the short that is even meaner than the movie. To be honest, the ending of the short is more traumatic for me than the ending in the movie. But it was interesting. All of the movies, and I was really happy to see that Killer Clowns of Outer Space it still holds up and is so well made, and you can tell the love of the Chido the Chiodo brothers,
Chiodo.
the Chiodo
Yeah, Chiodo
brothers,
Brothers.
and yeah, too bad they didn't make anything else. I mean, they keep working as visual effect directors and assistants and puppeteers, but never see another movie from them, and it's actually a shame. I think there was potential for them to do more creative things, like in the way of like Tim Burton. I mean, there was a potential for them to be another Tim Burton, creative, out of the box thinkers, but it never happened.
It reminds me a little about. It reminds me of Stan Winston, the Chiodo brothers, because Stan Winston is also known as a makeup artist and special effects. He has done like all the big, like monsters from the 80s and creatures. And he had one film. He may have done something else afterwards, but I don't know if it was ever like important. He made a movie, Pumpkinhead. I don't know if you ever seen it,
Oh
Sebas.
yeah, of course, yeah.
It's such a beautiful movie. And it's a really, really well made horror movie in the 80s. It has the right atmosphere, it has the right story. It's a simple story that losing his son to the city folks in the countryside, goes and makes a pact with this witch to revive this creature, Pumpkinhead, this demon, to go and exact revenge on this
Revenge.
on these people. It's a straightforward, it's simple. There are no excuses, additional like subplots, and the movie's very well done. I don't understand why that movie was not bigger hit, especially because the effects, the creature is amazing. Is super cool. It's
Because
Stan
the only
Winston.
good thing about the movie is the creature effect of the
Oh
pumpkin.
come on, Sebas! It's a great
The
movie.
movie is not very good. The pumpkin
really
head
good.
is very good. The pumpkin monster or the pumpkin, I don't know what his name is.
Oh come on, it's perfect. It's one of the best movies from the 80s.
Maybe we can go into one of the underrated ones and discuss it. There is actually Mad Dog that I'm very interested in watching again as well. That is the Phil Tippett. He's another guy of this visual effects director, puppeteer. He worked in Jurassic Park. If you look at his background, Starship Troopers, woke up in visual effects that basically all the 80s visual effects movies, and he did this puppet animated movie called Mad Dog, and he released it, I think released it on 2021, and it took him basically more than 20 years to make it. Just little by little, because he wasn't full on. He was basically working by himself. So I'm interested in watching that one. And it's like that, he's probably not going to make another movie in his lifetime, but at least, he gave it all.
That's
Well,
good.
I think that's about it. We wanted to do a mini jam, talk about our recap on the movies that we saw. The good surprises like Santa Sangre, the disgusting surprises like Terrifier. The kids are not all right like in It, and the bad acting
Disturbing,
of
the disturbing background of movies like Clown House.
Clown House. Yeah, the very dark, disturbing background. And the best puppets that you can buy with Killer Clowns from Outer Space, because those puppets are really well done. I'm still surprised how good they look. Yeah, we might not be excited by the remake that is being planned, but I'll watch it. Maybe I'll enjoy it.
You'll do a mini jam and you tell us how it goes.
Well, until next time, keep jamming about movies.
Thanks, everyone.